Welcome back to AfricaCom TV. Talk about accelerating digital enterprise transformation. My next guest is just about that. He's the CEO of Mauritius FinTech. Please welcome to AfricaCom, Michal Szymanski. Michal, let's start off by understanding the FinTech space in Mauritius.
Thank you. Very nice to be here. I think we've seen a big transition over the last couple of years. Mauritius is obviously an international financial center and it's all got the backing and a global kind of reputation from that perspective. But specifically around FinTech, there's been a massive drive from government across all kind of divisions and departments to ensure that we have the right capabilities in place to be able to build the Singapore of Africa. I think kind of that's, if you had to look in a 5 to 10 years into the future, you'd kind of you'd want to see Mauritius being that central hub, being a place where FinTech innovations from across the continent can come and grow, build their POCs, MVPs, and then scale and work in collaboration with other jurisdictions and countries on a continent so that they can add value to a normal human being's life. Because for me, that's what FinTech is all about. It's about empowering people who have been forgotten. You know, I personally believe, the financial system at the moment kind of discriminates against the fact that you don't have money or you don't have certain things. And I believe that FinTech has the power and the potential to unlock that and give those type of people those opportunities. So from a Mauritian perspective, it's a very exciting place to be. I think it's got all the right ingredients to be able to position itself, and there's already a lot of good happening on the ground. And the fact that we're collaborating and working with other jurisdictions, because it's not Mauritius for Mauritius, it's Mauritius for Africa, It allows us to build those bridges and really add value across the whole of African continent.
So what would the FinTech companies operating not only in Africa but across the world need to do to, I suppose, break down the barriers that are stopping us from having an all-inclusionary experience for all Africans in this space?
It's a tricky one, but I think it stems from one fundamental thing is that Africa is a massive opportunity, but with 54 countries, over 2,000 cultures and different dialogues, it's a land of great opportunity, but it's also a land of barriers, if you will. If you look at various jurisdictions, for example, I was very recently in Uganda, you have 52 different cultures. English is the spoken medium, but even engaging and providing solutions to individuals who might not actually understand what the FinTech solution is actually trying to achieve, you won't see kind of the same adoption rate. You then move to Nigeria, who has over 270 different cultures and dialects. You move to country, and you're seeing a fundamental shift in the way that people not only use technology, but how they view financial services. A lot of Africa is still very cash-based. We trust what we can touch and we can feel. And that's why financial inclusion is so important for people to understand what it means to not have physical cash on you, the fact how safe it is, how you are able to purchase more and be more part of the digital economy. So from that perspective, I believe that any international company looking to go into Africa needs to work on collaborations. Our ethos and the research and the things that we engage on shows that only by working together through a proper open collaboration model, i.e. if you're a large incumbent, if you're a bank, you're not there to buy out the FinTechs or they're your enemy. By working together with them, like we're seeing in the ASEAN market in Asia, you can actually halve your input costs and double the outcome and get more value, greater ROI, while not recreating the wheel by working together. So what we're seeing a lot more of is people engaging on proper open collaboration, less of this old school mindset, this is my IP, this is my territory, I will do this in my own little silos, and actually working across kind of industries and sectors and working with your competitors in order to be able to add value while making a ROI at the end of the day.
When you look at the African continent right now, the countries that are growing at the fastest rate have very healthy startup ecosystems. What do African leaders need to do to ensure that healthy startup ecosystem?
For me, it's if you get enough money, if you get enough talent, if you get enough innovations, there's still one critical thing that can kill any industry and sector, and specifically in the FinTech space, and that is regulation. Governments can sometimes talk a very big game, but then they either over-regulate a space or put in hurdles where those innovations, no matter how much money they have, actually can't operate in the country where a president would stand up and say, we're a fintech nation. Right? So from a government perspective, providing an enabling environment, with robust regulations, because regulations are there to safeguard the money, specifically in the financial services space, but also be agile and come with a mindset of learning to say, let's engage with the private sector, because the type of innovations are coming through. We are great regulators, we are not technologists, so most of the time in the fintech space you're seeing a lot of innovations die through regulation because they're actually not understood of what they're trying to do. So from a leader's perspective, not only from a government but from a various private institutional, is A, working together, and B, really engaging with all the stakeholders, not just one kind of policy, but engaging with all the stakeholders to say, let's work together, let's put the right robust regulation in place where it gives us a little bit of flexibility to say, if we are seeing these amazing innovations, because I've been many places in the world, and Africa, for me, the greatest innovations come from this beautiful continent, let's not over-regulate them, let's give them an opportunity to thrive and give them the environment to do so, because then we can add scale and then affect more and more human lives.
Let's celebrate some of that great innovation. Give me an example or two of fintech going into a space and actually really improving the lives of people that it's 100%. Impacting on.
So I'll use a local example, if that's okay, being Mauritius, where we've got an amazing, for example, crowdfunding solution called FinTech. It's effectively, they play in a space in our local market where traditionally banks wouldn't even look at you if you were a small startup without having your usual, right? Your collateral, your credit scoring, etc. Kind of all the legacy things that have been built up to safeguard people's money. So FinTech started, I think now they've been going for 12 to 18 months in that region. It's effectively a fintech startup. They participate in a sandbox license, so once again there was no regulation in the space, but the regulators allowed them because they saw the value, and to date they've funded over 20 small businesses. That's to amazing. The value of 10 million rupees, where it's unsecured lending, right? And that in the local context has not been heard of, and banks traditionally don't play in that market. Now you're seeing projects or small businesses having from operational cash to expansion plan being funded through a platform, a crowd platform, where me and you could add a small portion of that pot towards helping a small business thrive. For me, that is a big win.
No doubt. We're sitting at AfricaTech, which is an event of AfricaCom. Why would Mauritius FinTech be involved with AfricaCom and AfricaTech?
I believe that, if you look at Africa from a fintech perspective, over 50% of all global mobile money payments are done on the continent, and what that means is that telcos play a large portion of that, right? So we are seeing, what we see here is a lot of innovation, a lot of telcos, a lot of technology companies that would like to play in that space, and this continent is slightly different to the rest of the world, where you have your incumbents already playing in the financial services sector and not necessarily your telcos. So being an environment in this, while we are here and some of our members, would be to find out where the world's going to, what's available on the African continent, and how could we potentially leverage these technologies to enable some of the constraints that have been built up through the more traditional banking system on the continent.
And I suppose it's those networks and those collaborations that you're looking forward to the most for AfricaCom.
100%. It's being an ex-entrepreneur, understand the challenges of running your own business on the ground, and making those collaborations and building those trust with individuals, because you're not the best at everything, right? You have a solution that you believe is the best. Every entrepreneur will say their solution is the best, but a lot of entrepreneurs realize very early that they can't do it by themselves, and they have to partner with the various other service providers, because either they're going to be working on their rails or using their technology in order to deliver kind of the final solution to market.
Well, I wish you many networks and many collaborations. Thank you very much to
Thank
Michal Szymanski, CEO of Mauritius FinTech.